Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today we will be playing some Ashe Quinn. Now, I just should have uploaded a video for beginners, but for you non-beginners, here's a deck for you if you do want to go into some more. But it's not that expensive outside of a few new cards. Quinn obviously being the most expensive one, and I think Quinn has actually seen some play recently. I thought that most people, the general impression of her, right, was that she wasn't that strong. She was the first one revealed, so everyone kind of forgot about her anyway, but it turns out actually she's pretty good, and the scout mechanic is pretty good, and she's seeing play. And this is, I think, another variant. Most of them are playing Demacia Noxus, mostly Demacia cards, just going for the generic, boring Demacia list. This one is a bit more spicy and featuring our girl Ashe. We've got the queens of Runeterra in Ashe and Quinn, and we're combining them in a deck. And the general premise for this deck is essentially an Ashe mid-range deck, and any of you who've played Ashe kind of know how it works, is that you level up Ashe, and then you frostbite all their units before you attack so that they can't block, and then you attack for a massive attack and you win the game, and you essentially deal somewhere between like 12 and 20 damage on just one attack turn, as you kind of set up your leveled up Ashe and then go for it, right? And this deck is kind of looking for a similar thing, but using Quinn and the scout mechanic to even further enhance that idea, right? So instead of just playing Ashe for the idea of dealing a lot of damage in one turn, you can essentially do the same thing, have a leveled up Ashe on the board, but with scouts you can frostbite their units first, they can't block, and with scouts you obviously get in the initial damage from the scout attack and then the extra damage from the normal attack as well. So that's kind of the idea, and so I'm going to run you through the deck right now. Well, of course we want our frostbites to level up Ashe, and Brittle Steel is probably the best of the frostbite cards. Very, very solid, 1 mana, essentially a 1 mana removal oftentimes, and can be very, very, very good. Elixir of Iron can also be very, very useful in a lot of matchups to keep things alive. We are going to want to keep our units alive. We aren't like a zoo deck. We are sort of a half and half. Some spells, some units. And so keeping our units alive can be very important, and this is a very good card to do that. Omen Hawk, very solid 1-drop. Obviously buffing our things up, especially with Scout, is just even better. Buffing up Quinn is actually pretty good. And the Grizzled Ranger, just adding value to them, especially the Scout's units, is super good. So Omen Hawk, very good in that regard. Iceveil Archer, obviously very solid card again, blocks fearsome units. The frostbite goes with Ashe, of course. Very good defensive tool as we begin to set up in the early game against aggro. Very solid card. Single combat, probably Demacia's best card, and with frostbite obviously it can be just a one-sided removal. We don't have to kill our own unit, we can just kill theirs and be pretty happy with what we're doing. Flash Freeze I think is the worst of the frostbite spells, but it says a one-off in this deck. We do need a certain amount of frostbite to make sure that Ashe is leveling up, because that can be kind of critical. And also, it's fine. It's a fine card. It's not great. It's fine, though. Badger Bear. I remember when this card was released, and everyone thought this card was going to be OP. It's not OP. It's a good card. It's a 3-mana 4/4 with no ability. But it's a big, beefy unit in the early game that can help us stall if we're playing against aggro. Or it can be a solid, 4 damage when it comes down on turn 3, which can be quite nice, as often, unless they've got a chump blocker out there, they aren't going to want to block this the first turn that it's out there, but then obviously it sort of diminishes its returns. But it's a very solid mid to early game card for us to use. Relentless Pursuit. Now, I talked about Ashe and attacking for a big amount. Well, Relentless Pursuit can double that effect, of course. If we have a smaller board, say we've just got Ashe and one other unit, and we frostbite their units and we attack, and then they're still frostbitten, well, then we can rally and just attack again, and so it kind of like extends that even more. And with scouts as well, obviously attacking with one unit 3 times in the same round can be pretty insane, and it goes very well with a certain Grizzled Ranger. Rhinefang Wolf, very good with obviously Ashe and any sort of Frostbite deck. Can help remove and can help give us board control, and that can be very important in this deck. It's a challenger anyway, and a 3-mana 3/2 challenger that kills something can just be good anyway. There are quite a few champions in that early mid game that have 3 health. I'm looking at you, Fiora, I'm looking at Draven, I'm looking at pretty much all of them, to be fair. Even Ashe herself has 3 health, so having 3 attack on a challenger is pretty good. Ashe, obviously I've mentioned Ashe quite a lot already, and so you can kind of tell how important it is to level her up and get her going in this deck. And when she does level up, she can be pretty good, and so obviously the reason we're playing the deck. Fury of the North, wow. This card with Scout, this card with Relentless Pursuit is a different kettle of fish. Think about it. You give your Scout +4/+4 this round. That means that they can attack. So say you do it on a Grizzled Ranger, right? That means that you make this an 8/5. They can attack twice in this round. An 8/5. And if they kill it, you get a 4/4. That's pretty good. And so Fury of the North definitely fits this deck. Obviously can fit to help things survive as well, or just as a combat trick on itself. But with stuff like Scout, woo! Forget about it. Forget about it. Also with Quinn as well. You know, make Quinn a 7/8. That's pretty good, right? Yeah. So Fury of the North fits the deck pretty well. Grizzled Ranger, I should go over this card because it's pretty nuts. This is probably one of the best cards that got revealed. A 4/4/1 might seem bad. They can attack twice, but when people realize that it summons a 4/4 when it dies, that's pretty good. I talked already about how this card is a pretty solid card anyway. So you get a card that can attack twice, that if it dies, you get a solid card anyway. This card's insane. This card is like Curse Keeper on massive steroids. And Curse Keeper was already a card that saw a lot of play, so this card is going to be around for quite some time. Quinn herself is also very... she if you buff her with Omen Hawk, she's pretty nuts. But on her own, I'm still not completely sold. But I'm willing to be changed. I'm willing to be reformed. And as I say, with Fury of the North, anything with Scout is pretty good. And I like the idea of combining her with Ashe. And then Cithria the Bold, probably the best 6-drop in the game. 6-mana, 6/6. Give other battling allies 1/1 of fearsome this round. Obviously, with rally effects, it's insane. If you get 2 Cithrias, it's insane. If you attack with a Scout, with Grizzled Ranger, it's insane, right? You attack with Grizzled Ranger first. Let's say they trade into it. You get a Badger Bear. Well, now you can attack with Cithria and the Badger Bear. You get a 5/5 fearsome, and you've already attacked with a 4/1 and traded with something of their unit, and you've got a 6/6 attacking as well. That's pretty good. And finally, Harsh Winds. Obviously, I think a pretty good. Probably a bit worse than Brittle Steel, but a bit better than Flash Freeze. Harsh Winds can be used both as an offensive tool or a defensive tool, and in one card. The 6-mana spell, we often will keep some spell mana up, so it isn't too much of a cost. And that's the deck. Let's bring it into some play and see what we can do. So, Teemo Elise. Interesting is the first word that comes to mind. Teemo Elise. We're probably going to want that Brittle Steel. We'll keep the Grizzled Ranger, but we'll probably want some of our early game tools. This is a very good draw for any Elise. Because of course it can block Elise. Unfortunately, it would have been better to be on turn 2, as you don't really want to play this. Daring Poro. Okay. I'm intrigued by this guy's deck already. Daring Poro there. Coming out. Teemo Elise. We can afford to pass again. There is the Elise. And this makes me think that we probably do want to go and play the Iceveil Archer so that he doesn't have a good open attack. We can afford to do that. And then attack. Obviously we don't mind if he blocks with this Elise, so that's why we use the Daring Poro. He will block with this Elise, which I'm very pleased with, to be honest. Very surprised and pleased with. But obviously we don't want to give him to the Daring Poro as just a sacrifice token. So there's the Poro getting in some work there. We can now play the Grizzled Ranger. Obviously we didn't have a play that turn, but we can play the Grizzled Ranger. It will potentially trade to this Poro. We have certain options for it if we don't want that to happen. But we'll see what he does. He's just going to Mystic Shot it, which is interesting. I think... Are you worth keeping alive? Well, it will trade into this Poro and give us something else. So yeah, I've essentially gained 1 mana on him there. We'll see if he wants to do anything else. It seems not, so we will attack. Make him trade that Poro. We get our 4/4. Plays a Skitterer, that's fine. This is still a fine attack. That's how we're getting quite a bit of damage there as well. And we're happy to end the round. Now we've got a good defensive tool here, a nice Veil Archer. There's a Pursuit, which could be pretty nice. Brood Awakening. Yeah. So there's Brood, which isn't ideal. It's not the end of the world either. I think we can now play Quinn onto this board. If he wants to attack, I'll trade this bear into one. I'm not too worried. I'm quite happy to just trade the bear into one of those spiders. We can use Quinn to kill the Frenzied Skitterer, and we're pretty happy otherwise. Okay, he plays an Aristocrat. Bit annoying because obviously that's a very good counter to scouts in general. But we can go in and attack with those. Kill this Skitterer. Thing is, if he does trade the Hapless into it, he could potentially lose value on trading 2 spiders. Yeah. So he wants the spider instead. See, he just made a classic mistake, and that is, of course, you never commit that pre-combat, because now I can just do this and keep my thing alive. So essentially he's discarded a card to essentially do nothing. And if he wants to kill it now, okay, Glimpse. Honestly, with how low on cards he is, I do want to stop that Glimpse. So let's use it on you first, because this is going to be the hardest thing for him to kill, right? On the full health, he very easily could have a Mystic Shot, and so using it on anything else wouldn't be ideal. But using it on that is fine. He's got pretty good trades. Unless I go for this. In which case his trades become worse. I think maybe... maybe we'll just Frostbite you instead. And I can play Quinn next turn if I need to. So I will still go in. We got the extra Quinn, which I think we'll get value from. So we deal 7 to him, but we've got cards on him, and we've also got this Badger Bear, of course. Ooh, Cithria, very, very, very good draw. He attacks. That's an interesting attack. He doesn't attack with that one. Okay. He could have... I don't know what he's playing, but he could, in theory, have a Ruination here. In theory, he could. He very well could. So I'm going to play Cithria because Quinn gives us 2 options. Von Yip. Okay. Not what I was expecting there. Our attack now is actually lethal. And with the... yeah, so I think we just have to... oh no, it's not quite lethal, but we've got the Relentless Pursuit as well. Oh. Was that a mistake? I don't think that was a mistake. Right, so there goes his last card. We should be good from this point, I would think. He's got no cards left. We can afford to play Quinn into a Relentless Pursuit. I don't really want to give him any more cards, so I am just going to go for it now. And that should be game, and that's how this deck can win. There we go. So Von Yip's Spider deck. I mean, I love Von Yip. I think he's a really cool card, but we seem to outvalue our opponent there. Ah, it makes sense. Teemo. Ah, Daring Poro. Okay, it makes some sense, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of the deck. We didn't get to see Ashe, unfortunately, but we did see Quinn. We did see Relentless Pursuit with the Scout mechanic, and I think obviously that even combines even more with Frostbites and stuns and stuff like that. So I think if you can combine Scout with Relentless Pursuit with Frostbites or stuns or something in that ilk, that you can get a very powerful deck. And that's going to do it for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff that people do. I've been Chris. Have a really, really nice day.